Okay, guys, today we are going to learn about Kafka, what is Kafka, and how we can utilize Kafka in our DevOps curriculum. So the first thing which arises is what is Apache Kafka? So as we all know that it is a distributed event streaming platform which we use to decouple our microservices. It provides us high throughput and real-time data processing. It is generally used for messaging, log aggregation, mainly in ELK stack, and event-driven systems. And it can handle millions of messages, millions of communication client requests per second using a thread-based architecture. And it is fault tolerant and horizontally scalable. We can add more servers if we need that. And the general definition of Kafka is that it's a system that moves data from one services to other services without waiting for each other because it runs in asynchronous system. So in this slide, it tells us about why do we need a Kafka. So problems without Kafka is that as we develop our software, so we have multiple services, microservices, which wants to communicate with each other, and making communication, making networking between these communication is a tedious task before Kafka. So Kafka solves that problem. It makes a communication channel between these services so they can communicate asynchronously, and it is used for better scalability and the fault tolerant system. So these are the main components of Kafka. The Kafka architecture, there will be a producer, the microservices which pop up the action, like I want to communicate with this service, so it sends the message to the Kafka server, and the consumer on the other side is the service which wants to process that request. And then there is a broker between them which stores that message. Topic is when we want to filter those messages, it will write those services in according to the categories. So Kafka acts as a middle layer between producer and consumers. Like we can take an example of like the order services. Order services wants to send a notification to the user, so it will pop up a message, and Kafka will store it, and the notification service will consume that. So how Kafka works? So producer sends a message to a topic, and the Kafka server stores that message in the topic in partition. Partition is generally the storage services provided by Kafka, and the data is stored as sequentially. Only append log we can take it as like what we do in LeFo stack, last in first out. So it will store that messages in sequentially. Consumers reads those messages at their own pace. Whenever the microservices is free, it will consume that service and process that request. And we can also set here policies to what time of period those message will be stored in Kafka server. Yeah, so how we can utilize Kafka in our day-to-day DevOps work. So common use cases are log aggregation. As I previously mentioned, we can use Kafka in our ELK stack. ELK stands for Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. So Elasticsearch is used to store the logs, and Logstash generally parse those logs. Like we have unstructured data in our logs directory. So the work of Logstash is to parse that data and to make in a structured JSON format, and then Kibana is used to visualize, same as Grafana. So it's a event-driven microservices architecture. It is generally used in the microservices architecture, not in the monolith one. And real-time analytics pipeline we can also integrate in our pipelines as well. Like when we have like in our work we have only one Jenkins server. So if by any chance two or three jobs run simultaneously, so that in that uh, structure our Jenkins servers can be down. So what we can implement is we can implement Kafka, that whenever the executor is free on the Jenkins side, it will consume that uh, service and invoke the pipeline. So it's an here is an example as user places an order. So whenever a user click on buy product, the microservice sends a message to the Kafka event system. So there are the three other microservices which acts here as consumers. The first one is the inventory, which will update the status of that product, that is that particular amount of quantity is in the database or not. Payment services also gets invoked or also gets consumed this service. And the third one is notification is sent to the user that your order is placed, or if by any chance, like in inventory, we do not have that sufficient quantity of that product, so it will send that event, that notification to user. So why Kafka? The first thing is why we need Kafka. So Kafka provides us the scalable architecture, like we can, make several microservices and we can make communication between them. It supports the real-time streaming, and the best advantage of Kafka is that it decouples services. Like it does not create any kind of messy structure while we are designing the system. And the next thing is there are some few challenges while we integrate Kafka in our SDLC. So operational complexity. The first thing is operational. It is quite complex to implement Kafka, and it also requires constant monitoring and tuning as well. And the learning curve of Kafka is also steep, but Kafka provides us a lot of advantages when we are working with the microservice architecture. It provides a scalable, reliable, and event-driven architecture into the modern distributed systems. Yeah, thank you.